Hello, welcome to this lesson where we continue to look at linear programming. This is the sixth lesson of the topic. So we continue to look at the questions from the past exam papers. Okay, so this is this question came in 2019 GCE, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see the process that we are supposed to carry out in order to get the answers. Okay. So as we considered in the previous lessons, you understand that here we need to come up with the inequalities. In the previous lessons, the inequalities were listed, but here we need to extract them from the passage. Okay, so write down the question, copy down the question, then we read together and come up with the inequalities. Okay, so let us read together. Mipando makes two types of chairs for sale, dining and garden. Okay, those are the two types of chairs. He intends to make at least 10 dining chairs and at least 20 dining chairs. He wants to make not more than 8 chairs altogether, and the number of garden chairs must not be more than 3 times the number of dining chairs. Let X be the number of dining chairs and Y be the number of garden chairs. Write down or write 4 inequalities to represent the information above. Okay? So let us do that. Let us do that. Okay? We are supposed always to write this information on the graph paper. As you have read here, what does this question say? Answer the whole of this question on a sheet of graph paper. So we should start. And what is this question? This question is question A. So we can say question 7A. This is our question 7A. Question 7A. So we are writing the inequalities now. Take note that we are saying X is what? X, the number of dining, is the number of dining chairs, whereas Y is the number of garden. Okay? This is very important. So now we can write down the inequalities. We are told we are supposed to write 4 inequalities. So 1, he intends to make at least 10 dining chairs. 10. At least 10 dining chairs. This is how we write this one. At least 10 dining chairs. At least should be equal to or greater than. Like I've been presenting, I think I've been mentioning these things in the previous lessons. Then the second one is going to be, is again at least 20 what? Garden chairs. So this is also Y is equal to or greater than 20. Okay, this is our I can bring my third inequality here. Okay, then he wants to make not more than 80 chairs altogether. When we add X and Y, which is dining plus garden, should not be more than 80. Should not be more than 80 chairs. Okay? Should be equal, because I said they should not be more than altogether. That is that. Then the last one, because they are supposed to be 4 inequalities, the number of garden chairs must not be more than 3 times. The number of garden chairs is what? Y. This must not be, the number of garden chairs, which is this one, must not be more than, okay, must not be more than what? 3 times the number of, which is this one, 3 times the number of, okay? So these are the 4 inequalities that we are supposed to write. Are we together? These are the 4 inequalities that we are supposed to present. Then we go on now to the second question. What is the second question saying? If you are able to see it, I hope you've already copied the question. Using a scale of 2 centimeters to represent what? 10 chairs on each. To represent 10 chairs on each axis. Okay? Draw X and Y axis for the X axis, it's from 0 up to 80. Also for the Y axis, it's from 0 up to 8 respectively. And shade the unwanted region to indicate clearly the region where the solutions of the inequalities lie. Okay, so this is something that we have already presented. Okay, this is something that we have presented in the previous lessons. Okay, so how are we supposed to do that? We draw. Okay, we can do that here. Okay, then also down here we do the same thing. All right, so please don't forget, this is our origin. We are supposed to have 2 centimeters to represent what? 10 units, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. We are supposed to go up to 8 on both axes. Here, we are starting with what? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and 80. Okay? This is how our graph paper is going to look like. Okay? Remember, we have the inequalities there. Okay? So now we need to start drawing, or we need now to start bringing these inequalities on the graph. So which one do we start with? X is equal to or greater than, X is greater than or equal to 10. So in form of an equation, where do we have this one? Along the x-axis, don't forget, this is our x-axis here, and then this is our y-axis. So we need to come on the, where along the x-axis we need to come to on 10 here. Then we draw a straight line. When we draw this straight line, what are we saying? This is an equation which is called what? X is equals to 10. The line itself is an equation there. So now we need to shade what here? The unwanted region. We need to shade the unwanted region as we have been guided by the question. So the region that we want here is the region that is greater than x, equal to or greater than x here. So greater, it's this side when we are going this side. So this is the area that we have to shade, this one. This is the area that we have to shade. This is the area that we have to shade. This is the unwanted region. So we proceed to the second one. What is the second one saying? The second one is talking about y. So meaning on the y-axis we go to what? 20. And this is where we have our 20. 20. We draw also a straight line here, which is what we are going to call what? Y is equals to 20. Then what do we want? We want to shade the unwanted region. So the wanted region is what is greater than y. So meaning on top of y, this is the region that is it. So we are shading this part that is below. This part that is below, that is the part that we are shading. This is the part that we are supposed to shade here. Okay? Then we go to this one. We go to this one. Okay? We go to this part. We go to this part. We go to this part. Okay? Now, if you remember, this one, it's a coordinate where we have two variables here. We have what? We have two variables. So I have guided that In an equation where you've got two variables like this one, what do we have? We have x plus y is equals to 80 in terms of an equation. Okay? In terms of an equation. So where we have two variables, x and y, we need to come up with a table of coordinates, which is x and y. So now we can begin to say if x coordinate is 0, meaning where there's x here you are putting 0, what will be y? It means this part has been covered. So y is going to be 80. And again, I can do the opposite and put if y is equals to 0, meaning this y is equals to 0 now here. This part is equals to 0. So my x is going to be 80. So I've got these two coordinates. So the coordinates I'm going to plot is 0, 80 and also 80, 0. Are we together? These are the coordinates that I'm going to work with. So I have to come back here and identify those coordinates. 0, 0, 80, it's this point. 0, 8, it's this point. Then 80, 0, it's this point also here. So we need to join these 2 points. We need to join these 2 points, which is 80 here and this 80 here. This 8, okay? We need to join this point and this one here. Okay? Just this. Then what are we shading? We are shading the greater part because we want the less part. Less is this part that is below. The upper part is greater. So we need to shade this part now. This part is what we are supposed to shade. This part is what we are supposed to be shading. This part is what we are supposed to be shading now. Okay? This part is what we are supposed to be shading. We are shading the unwanted region. Okay? Then we go to the last one. What do we have? This is also an inequality with two variables. So we need to do the same thing that we just did on the other part. Okay? How are we supposed to do it? Okay? How are we supposed to do this part? Okay, we can actually, we are having what? We are having y, okay, greater or equal to what? 3x. Okay, so we need to write this as an equation. What is it going to be? To be something like yx. So this is the thing that I'm saying. You always have to come up with the coordinates. Where you have x and y, you need to come up with the coordinates. Okay? You can even come up with 2 or 3 coordinates. But me, I always want just 2 are enough. Those that are apart, like, so for instance, we can start with 0. When x is equals to 0, you put 0 here. When x is equals to 0, what is y? Even y will be 0. Okay? And remember, you just don't pick anyhow. You are referring to the graph paper. So from there, I can come to 10. When my 10 is equals to, if you want, you can actually go and pick 40 here. If you pick 2 points that are far apart from each other, 2 are enough. Okay? So if I pick 20 or 30 here, all these lines, all these points, they are lying on the same line. So if I pick 30, for instance, if I pick 30 here, then if you put 30 here, okay, that is going to give you 90. That is going to give you 90. Now, when you come to the y-axis, you don't have 90. What does that mean? You need to reduce. You have to come down, isn't it? You have to come down. So you need to pick something like what? 20. 20 here. So I'm going to put 20. So when I put 20 here where there is x, it will mean 3 multiplied by x, which is 20. What do I get? I get 60. So what are my coordinates? The coordinates that I have now, it's 0, 0, as well as 20, 60. Are we together? These are the coordinates now that I'm supposed to come and plot here. What are those 2 coordinates? I'm saying it's 0, 0. Don't forget, 0 is the origin, which is this point here. Then 20 20,60. 20,60. Where do we have 20,60? 20 is here. So we're going up to this point. That is where they meet. Okay, so we need to draw a straight line from the origin up to this point. Okay, that is what we are supposed to do. Okay, so from this point there and the origin, so you join like this. Okay, then you go back there. What do we want to shade? The region that is required is the one that is less. For these lines, when you've got a line, these lines here, when we draw a line like this one, okay, when you have a line like this one here, this part is less. This one which is on top, it's greater. If you've got a line also that is like this one, this part is greater. The one that is below is always less. Okay, so you always have to get to know that, so that you don't have challenges. Okay, so now we can come and say, what are we supposed to do here? We can come and shade the greater part. The greater part is what we don't want. Which one is the greater part? The one that is on top, which is this part here. This side is the part that we are shading. This part, the part that we do not want. This is the part that we don't want here. This part, we don't want this part. Okay, so now you have clearly seen the region that has remained. You have clearly seen this is what is the question saying. Okay, let me take you back to the question. The question is saying shade the unwanted region to clearly indicate the region where the solutions of the inequalities must lie. So this is the region where the solutions, this is the region where the solutions of the inequalities must do what? Must lie. Okay? So we need to go on and handle the next question. We need to go on and handle the next question. Are we together? We need to go on and handle the next question. What does the next question say? Please read with me this question carefully. The question says, given that the profit on the sale of a dining chair is 80 kwacha, on the sale of we're looking at the profit now, and the profit on a garden chair is 50 kwacha. How many chairs of each type should Mipando make in order to maximize profit? Okay, so we are looking at profit maximization. So how do we write our objective function? How do we write our objective function? And what question is this? This is question C. So I can clearly put here to say, okay, I'm going to say C. I'll write profit. Like this is our objective function. This is equals to each dining chair, which is X, must give us a profit of 8 plus each garden chair is giving us a profit on the sale of what? 50 kwacha. So this is the objective function. This is the objective function here. Okay? So now the question is, how many chairs of each type should Mipando make in order to maximize profit? So what are we going to do? This whole region here, this is where the solutions do what? Do lie. This is where the solutions do lie. All these points here. But the easier way, what we can do is to get the coordinates of the corners, all the corners of this region that we have identified here. We get the coordinates. So how many corners do we have here? I'm able to see this point. Okay. This point, I'm able to see it. Then there's also this point here. Then there's also another point here, which is this one. And this one. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 points. So now what we are supposed to do is to pick the coordinates of these points here. Is to pick the coordinates of these points. Are we together? That is what we are supposed to do. So how do we pick this coordinate? The coordinates of this first point is what? 10, 20. So I'm going to come and write those coordinates here as in 10, or let me just write 10, 20. Those are those coordinates there for the first one, which is this one. Then the second one is 10, 30. The second one is 10, 30. Then the fourth one, which is this one, it's 20, 60. It is 20, 60, this point, the coordinates. You start with the x coordinate. So it is 20, 60. Then I'll come to this one, which is the last one. It's 60, 20. 60, 20, this one. 60, 20. Okay? So after I've done this, you've seen where I've picked the coordinates. This is the feasible region here. This is the feasible region. The region where the solutions align. Okay? So now, this is the objective function. This is the objective function here. So now, what we are going to do in this objective function, remember that we have the x and the y coordinate here. The x coordinate represents the dining what? Chairs. The y coordinate represents what? The garden chairs. So now we need to start doing the substitution using these ones into this part. Okay? What am I saying? We need to multiply like this. This represents dining chairs. This one, it's what? Garden chairs. Now we have a region here where the solutions must lie, and we have gotten the extreme region, points in the corners. So we should begin to test them. So the first one is going to be what? 80. What is our x? Okay, our x you have to multiply. Our x here is 10. What does this mean? 80 multiplied by 10 plus 50 in brackets 20. What does this mean also? This is a multiplication here. Okay, so you need to multiply this and this plus this and this, then you get the answer here. Okay, you repeat the process for all of them. Okay, so even here we say 80 multiplied by 10 plus 50 multiplied by 30. See what we're going to get. Even here we do the same thing, 80. Okay, so this is what we're supposed to get. This is what we're supposed to get when you work out all these. So you try and see what you are getting also. Try and see what you are getting also. Okay? Try and see what you are getting also. Then after you have done this, please just follow the concepts. After you have done this now, you check these amounts here, these profits here. Which one is the highest? Which one is the highest? The highest is 5,800 kwacha. And which coordinates are giving us this combination? The combination that we have is that for x, we are getting what? 60. For y, we are getting what? 20. This is what gave us the highest profit. So what does this mean? It means in order for this in order for Mr. Mipando to maximize or to make maximum profit, he must make 60 dining chairs. Okay, he must make 60 dining chairs and 20 garden chairs. Okay, in order for him, this is the combination that gave us the highest profit. So in order for him to maximize profit, he must make 60 of dining chairs and 20 of what? Garden chairs. So you can write them like this, or you can put it in a statement form to say, in order for him to maximize profit, he must make 60 dining chairs and 20 garden chairs. Okay? Then we have a question here. What is this maximum profit? What is this maximum profit? That is our D. The maximum profit is this same amount here. The maximum profit is this same amount which we got, 5,800. Watch. This is the maximum profit. Okay? This is the maximum profit. And this question has been answered in full. This question has been answered in full. You can see that from you writing these inequalities here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you get 4 marks. Okay? Also, just for doing this work on the shading, you get 4 marks. Then, when you state these two, you get 2 marks. And also this one gives you 2 marks. Altogether, you have got 12 marks. 12 marks, simple as that. As long as you're following these lessons from lesson 1, lesson 2, up to where we are, I can assure you, you can't have challenges. I can assure you, you can't have challenges, because we are taking into consideration the people that were in school some time back. Okay, so we introduce the basics. So this is lesson 6. Now, the other thing that I want to do, I hope on how to find the maximum profit. I have demonstrated on how to find the combination that should give you maximum profit. I have also shown you that. So the only thing that I want us to try and do, the challenges with the candidates is always on this part. So I'll try and find another question where we can just come up with the inequalities. Then the rest of the work you can do. Okay? The rest of the work you can do that. So, okay, so we have another question here from 2017 November paper. And on this question, I'm just going to help you come up with the inequalities, because mostly that is where most of students have problems. The rest of the part I've already explained. So here I'll just help you come up with the inequalities. Okay? So let's start. Copy the question down. Then we go through it together. Okay. Copy the question down, then we go through it together. Okay, so we need to write down the inequalities here. The concentration is just the inequality. That is my concentration. Okay, that is my concentration. So let's read together. Imakwebo orders maize and groundnuts for sale. The order price of a bag of maize is what? The order price for the bag of maize is what? 75 kwacha. And that of a bag of groundnuts is what? 150 kwacha. He is prepared to spend up to, it means the maximum that he is ready to spend on both the bags of maize and groundnuts is 7,500 altogether. Okay? He intends to order at least 5 bags of maize and at least 10 bags of. He does not want to order more than 70 bags altogether. Then the question says, write down the 4 inequalities. So, maybe I should start from here. Either way, I can start from, okay, let me start from the first part. So this person wants to order the order price. Look at this. This part for 75 and this one for 150. They are connected to this amount. So this first part, what we are told is that for this person, the order price for, of course, here we must say X represents the bag of what? Maize. Then Y, it's the groundnuts. Okay, so here 750 is the order price of 1 bag of maize, plus 150 is the order price of 1 bag of groundnuts. And then this person is willing or is prepared to spend only on both. So we are going to say to buy these, the combination is this one. That's all. This is what we are supposed to do. This is what we are supposed to do. And this is one inequality here. So now, look at this. Sometimes such you can have complications to come and put it on the graph paper. So the thing that you are supposed to do is to simplify it. If there is a number that can go into all these three, simplify it. So in this case, we have 75. 75 can go into 75, can go into 75, even here. So 75 here, we're going to remain with x. Here we have 2y. Then this side we have got 100. Okay? I've got 100. So we take this one. This is the same as this one. So we have simplified this one because it will be easier to put on there. This one you may end up having coordinates that will not be there on the graph paper. Okay? So from this part we are done. So this whole thing gave us 1. So please, the mistake that you can make when it comes to linear programming is to relate it to punctuations. Now, since here there's a full stop, I must get 1 after another full stop. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to get the idea. Then here we have, he intends to order at least. So this is our first one. And the second one is he intends to order at least what? 5 bags of maize. At least 5 bags of maize. It's this one. The third one, and at least 10 bags of groundnuts. At least 10 bags of what? Groundnuts. So this is supposed to be y. Remember, groundnuts here. So this is what's supposed to be there. Then the last part says he does not want to order more than 70 bags altogether. So when we add x and y, we should not go beyond 70. We should not go beyond 70. It should be equal to 70 or less. Take note please here where we were saying not more than means this. If it is more than, it's just greater than, just like that. More than is the same as greater than. And you should know that where you have this or this symbol, when you draw it should be dotted. Remember, it should be dotted. Okay. So, like I indicated that here, the concentration is just to help you how to come up with the inequalities. These other questions you can easily answer. So I want to take you again to another question where I'll come up with the inequalities. So this is one question that I want you to finish. Take note of that. This is one question that I want you to finish. Okay? You answer. So this is already like part of your exercise. I'm taking you to another question. Okay, so here's another question that I want us just to write the inequalities. That was in 2010. Okay? Here's the question that I want us to write, just the inequalities. Then you're going to finish it yourself. Okay? So this question reads as follows. Mr. SimCard intends to buy a total of 500 scratch cards from Unitel and Bytel. He decides to buy Bytel scratch cards, which must be at least 1/3 of Unitel scratch cards. He wants to buy at least 1/5 Bytel scratch cards and not more than 300 Unitel scratch cards. Let X represent, okay. So we can get started. Get started here, right? So I can write them even here. So now, the first thing first is what? Our X and our Y. X is what? X to be the number of Unitel and the Y to be the number of Bytel. Then the first one here, what are we reading? He intends to buy a total of, okay, a total of. So meaning we are looking at 5 plus, x plus y should be equal to or less than, this is a total of that this person wants to buy. So it should be this one. Okay? The maximum that he wants to buy is this one. Okay? Then he decides to buy tail scratch cards, which must be, buy tail is what? Y. Buy tail scratch cards, which must be at least, meaning greater or equal to, must at least 1/3. 1/3, you know that is 1/3 of x. 1/3 of x. Okay? So, then what else are we supposed to do? He wants to buy at least 150. At least 150 buy tail. Okay? At least 150 buy tail. So this is again 150 buy tail. This is the third inequality. And not more than 300. And not more than 300 unit tail. We have one inequality, second, third, and fourth. Okay? Then the rest of the questions that are following, the process is the same. Then here you've got this one that requires you to come up with the a profit function. This one, this is 150 here. This is 150 on each buy tails scratch card sold. Okay? Then these questions are the same. In order to maximize profit, what? These are the same. Okay? These are the same things that we did. All right? These are the same things. So even this question, after, work out these. And then at this point, I have to mention something. It's a pity that, let me see if I can find another question where we emphasize that the point I want to mention. But then let me mention, there are times when you are given, after you have written your inequality, it looks like this. Okay? It looks like this. So in this case where you have got x, you are starting with x, it's highly advisable that you rewrite it in form of y. You rewrite it in form of y. What do I mean? You start with y. So if you are starting with y, it will be y is greater than x. These two are the same. This is easy to put on the graph. Okay? If you have got x is equal to maybe 2y. What we are saying is that make y the subject of the formula. Make y the subject of the formula. What are we saying? This is going to be, you know that if here you have to divide, it will be like this, isn't it? So here you remain with y alone. So when you end up making y the subject of the formula, this symbol will change to face this side, x. This is easier now to work with. Even as you do your coordinates for x and what, you just be changing here. When x is equal to this, what will be this? So take note of this part. But I want to find another question, maybe where we can come up with inequalities, and that will be the last one. So already you have two questions that you're supposed to finish. Okay, I can't find the question, but then what I wanted to emphasize or just tell you is that it's important that you get to know that it's important, like I mentioned already, that where you have got, there are times when they'll tell you, like in that case, maybe they'll say the number of buy tail cards should be more than, if this was our y, the number of, then this, our x was what? Unit tail. Okay? So where they tell you that the number of, let me say, the number of unit tail cards should be more than the number of buy tail cards. So this will start with x. The number of should be more than what? More than. Okay, should be more than. So it will be like this, and this is why I emphasize that you should change this. Okay, the number of bytel should be the number of bytel cards should be at least what? Should be at least 2/3. Just an example. Should be at least 2/3. What does 2/3 mean? It's 2/3 of what? This. These are words that are going to be used. Should be 3/4. What is 3/4? 3/4 is 1/4. 1/4 is 1/3/4. This is 3/4. This is 1/4. Okay? You need to understand those. Just the language here that is used is sometimes something that you have to be. It is 3 times, it is as twice as what. There are times when maybe it will be y, it will be like this, depending on how it has been written. Or it could be maybe y. So you have to see, what does this mean? 3 times. Or maybe this would mean maybe thrice as much as. So you have to also understand the language that is used to come up with all these things. Otherwise, we can try as many as we can, but we can't exhaust all the options that the examiner would consider giving you the questions. So basically, I think I've tried to mention 1 or 2 things. So I'm going to give you a lot of questions just to make sure that you have what you can use for your revisions. Okay, so we can start with 1. This is 2020 December. It's 2020 December. Yeah. Okay, this is 2020 August GCE. So copy the question. Okay, copy the question. Okay, this is 2020 GCE. Okay. Okay, so we also have another one here, which is 2017. I hope it's clear. It's 2017. Okay, I hope it's clear. Okay, this was in the specimen. I don't know if it's very clear. It was in the specimen when they made changes to the syllabus, so they were trying to show how the new paper would be prepared. I hope you're able to see that is at least there. Yummy. What? I think it's clear. Yes, I think so. We also have 2018 here. Is it clear? We also have 2018 here, which was a bit, the way questions were asked here, they are slightly different from the normal way. So that is okay. That is good for us to think. Okay. This is, okay. Okay, now we have come to the textbook. Now come to the textbook. You never know, they'll end up just picking this question as it is and bring it in your exam. Okay, we're coming to the textbook. I'm giving you as many as possible just for you to, okay, you can give yourself a scale there. Okay, this is this book. Okay, so we have this one, which is also from a textbook. Of course, the scale is not properly given, so you can do your own scale on the graph paper. I'm just giving you as many as possible just to help you with revision. There's also this question which I gave in the previous exercise where I just requested you to write the inequalities just, but here now we can go on and put it on the graph paper, answer all the questions. Of course, this is a Kenyan textbook, so the currency is in shillings there. So for our Zambian case, you can change those into kwachas. Okay, so that we deal with what we are familiar with. Okay, I think these are enough, but for your exercise, especially those of you that do submit, the first 3 are enough. Okay, I'm giving you as many as possible so that you just have a lot of questions. For this is a textbook from Kenya. I have also used this one, which I already showed you. Okay, let's look at question 6 also. Question 6. Okay, here where they're saying write down the constraints. They are the inequalities. Okay, those same inequalities. Find the wanted region by graphing. So exactly what we've been doing. Use the search line. Use a search line to find out, okay, how many of each must, you use the same, in this case, the profit, okay, those things are given here. So you just use this part, okay, just use this part which we dealt with. Just use this part here, okay, then the process is the same. The only thing that is not here is where you do the sketching. I mean, where the scale is given. Use 2 centimeters to represent what, so that you can easily do. So I've given you a lot of questions. Okay, I'm still going to present another lesson, which is the last one in this topic. So please make sure subscribe to the channel, invite your friends, invite your relatives to make sure that we pass the exams. All right, thank you so much.